Considering whether you should protect your IP is one of the things Neil and I consistently bang on about in the early stages of your business. And one of the ways you can do that is to register a trademark, whether that be any unique aspect of your company's branding, whether name, domain, even smells or musical jingles associated with their brand. We've tried in the past to register the name of this channel, Basics of Business, but it got rejected. So in this video, we're going to run through our second attempt to try and get it registered and see how we get on. Welcome back to the Basics of Business channel, everybody. And in this video, we're going to run through our second attempt to register the name of this YouTube channel, Basics of Business. And the reason for doing that is we want to try and show you what's possible. We're not going to use a lawyer. We're just going to do it ourselves. So just to show you how you can accelerate your way through the early stage of steps you need to take as you set up your business. And in terms of Neil, as I say, we've not used a lawyer doing it ourselves. We've had the previous attempt rejected. Just quickly summarize as in why it was rejected and what we can potentially do the next time to help with that.
So the main reason it was rejected was because it wasn't unique enough and wasn't distinctive enough, I think, was the sort of reason for it. So yeah, that was where we were just using the words, whereas this time we've actually got more of an image and a logo to go with it to see if that is enough. So yeah, we're going to have a go without a lawyer, I suppose. If you went to a lawyer, they might be able to filter that out and have said to us, you're wasting your time, you can't register that form of words, because like we said on our other video, just having warm thermos isn't going to be
it can't be generic from that perspective.
And Basics of Business was considered too generic. So
but why are we bothered? As I say, we're trying to use a live example here to show you what, rather than just something that's sort of making something up. We want to show you a live example to show you what's involved in all these practical steps. But why bother? I mean, why is IP? Why are we bothering?
Well, if we are going to invest time and effort into building an awareness of Basics of Business, and let's, in 5 years' time, we're synonymous with, oh, if you want to start a business, you've got to get advice and look at what these guys are doing. If we then want to sell that business, someone say, well, if someone else can set up called Basics of Business or Business Basics or whatever it is, however close to what we are doing, then actually I can set up in competition with you and use the investment that we've made to create awareness and things about our brand and cash in on that. So, so there's that side of it. And then, but before you get to an exit, if you're looking to raise money or whatever else, then again, you need to have considered it, because you need to be able to, well, it just makes it look as you're more serious because you've done that research and you've looked into it. And it also, it does protect the investors, that they are putting money into something that's going to be built, have a value in itself in the future, and someone else can't just come and steal it out from under them. Because they register that before you do or whatever. So again, it's important to think about getting it protected prior to launching and putting it out there in the marketplace.
Yeah, great. So as I say, this is a live example. We're going to do this and just go through it. So we're going to log on now to the IPO website, follow their step-by-step process to show you what's involved. So let's see how we get on.
If by magic. Here's one I prepared earlier. We're going to search for a trademark.
And this is step one.
Yes.
From that, this is step one, is you're going to try and search to see if anything already exists.
Yeah, like we said about the company names and stuff, if you're going to form a company and you're going to use that company name as your brand and your trademark, you need to do both searches. So you need to search on Companies House. Does Basics of Business Limited already exist? If that's what you want to call it. You could, of course, have XYZ Limited trading as Basics of Business. So that's why we've said having the company name, all that protects you from is no one can have exactly the same company name as you. And then you get into intellectual property law if someone is actually trying to use something very similar to your name. And again, it's whether you've registered it or not. So we've already got the company, so that's all fine. Right. So now the next stage is let's just check that the trademark isn't already registered, because it could be, as I say, we've looked, oh, there isn't a Basics of Business Limited, but it doesn't mean that a firm of accountants or lawyers or consultants aren't using that brand as one of their many brands or whatever in there. So you do have to do both searches.
So we're onto that intellectual property website here. We'll put the links in the description, but as I say, this is our first search. So we're going to search by keyword, phrase, or image. And when you're doing these searches, it's best with these is just to leave it as open as possible, so as wide a search as possible to see what's there already. So there, if we scroll down and see, you can narrow it down. These are the classes we chose. These are basically, if you think about like sectors from that point of view, we don't want to narrow these down because we want to see as wide as possible what's there. And again, time-wise, we don't want it. So I just leave these things that are as are and just click search. And there you go. So you've had that application, and that is our application from years ago when we first had thoughts around this, is just, and to test this out of, and as I say, we'll throw up on the screen. If we click through there, and we'll come through, and this was the result, which we talked about before. And just will give details of when it was filed, etc. But essentially, that key point of it's not distinctive. You cannot trademark things that are generic from that. If you think of like you're open 24/7, just things that other businesses in that whatever sector have a legitimate use of. Basics of Business was viewed as too generic, therefore it was rejected from that perspective. So what we're going to try and do now is can we make it more distinctive and then reapply from that point of view? But I suppose the good news is there's no one else in this area who's tried to do it. It's still just us, therefore it's worth another go. As I say, we're taking our own decisions. We're not lawyers, but as I say, these are sort of things that you can look to do yourself. As I say, if you saw nothing there, it'd be a great sign for you that you can continue.
That it's available. And as as we said earlier, the fact that we're not going to a lawyer, we may, an intellectual property lawyer might be watching this thinking, well, you're wasting your time, it's going to get rejected again because it's still not unique enough or whatever. But for us, we just want to see how complicated it is. And actually for £100, which is what it costs to try and register the trademark, that is, it's not a huge amount of money to enable us to find out if we could do it ourselves. If not, we're £100 down. We could then go and speak to a lawyer who'll say, oh, well, you need to tweak it like this, or you need to tweak it.
And the reason for it is we're just trying to these are key things you need to think about. We're trying to accelerate you through this phase rather than it's legal stuff, jargon, intangible asset. I'm not going to do anything. We want to help you make a conscious decision whether to apply or not. And I say the purpose of doing that is just to try and show you practically what's involved. So as I say, there's no one else there beyond our previous reject. We know why it was rejected the last time. So we're now going to try and apply again with something that's potentially more distinct.
So I'm just going to close this one down and drag in the other one that I have prepared over here to actually register the trademark. So there we go. Before you apply, you need to decide what you're looking to do, decide which trademarks to.
And that classes thing is a key point because that obviously affects the cost from that point of view, but also it's just the example we used before is polo. So like there are polo cars, there are polo mints. Just because it exists in a certain set, you could apply in a different class if they're just, people are not going to get confused. Like no one's going to confuse a polo car with a polo suite. So therefore both companies could have trademarks.
And it was an extra £25, I think, for each additional class. So we did two, it cost us £125. This time we're just going to try it in the one of just the business management consultancy sort of class. But you know, depending how big a market you're going for, and we're also only doing it in the UK. Whereas again, we're not looking to do a sort of worldwide all-encompassing thing, which as you would see would soon rack up the cost as well if you needed it. So that would be another thing. It's one thing, make sure you're thinking about doing it, but the other side is, you know, don't do it just for the sake of doing it.
If you're planning to sell into the EU or the US, etc., it's something at this stage to consider. Okay, do I need to apply in each of those areas if you're thinking you want to protect your brand in all those different areas?
Right, so
we've done that check. We've
done all that. We're choosing not to get professional help or advice, and we're going to sort out our application. So apply online. Right. So who is making the application? So it's actually us, not a lawyer. So we want to continue to apply. Oh, sorry, we need to add our name and address details. Yeah.
Yep. So the owner, this is an ownership point of, obviously, so we have the company basically, so that's going to be the owner. Obviously, individuals can register themselves as well for this. So you add your own ownership details there. The owner type, as I say, it's going to belong to the company. It's not going to belong to us personally. The company number, etc. is probably a bit of feedback we could to the IPO, as in if they'd had it linked up to company's house to bring in the details automatically, would be a nice little feature. And then just to say the details of who's the registered details, telephone numbers, etc., email addresses. And we understand, the IPO is going to do that. We understand they'll be published online. We understand there's the owner. Okay. So we're going to apply for, so this is the key point. So we applied previously and we'll highlight for the words only, and that was rejected because it was not distinct enough. So we've now created a sort of logo from that, a picture from that perspective of the words. So we're now going to try that and see if that makes it distinctive enough as a differentiator. And we'll upload the file now. There we go. We've uploaded it. And that is going to be the decision for the IPO. Is that distinctive enough for a generic term? As I say, I'm sure that an IPO will be able to tell us instantly, but as I say, we're using this to sort of demonstrate what you would do. What's your bet? Do you think it's distinctive enough? I don't think it is.
No, I don't think it is. Yes. So, but we will find out. Single trademark.
So there's helpful things as you go through this from that perspective, and this is where it comes to the fee. So that's the fee if you apply for it. I think as we come on to the next screen, you'll see there'll be an option to do a sort of test. So you can pay that 100 quid. So if you just want to do the standard fee, £175, and get a decision yes or no, but I'm pretty certain as we continue here, it will give us an option. So first of all, we'll need to select our class. I'm going to choose 35, which is R1. So that's the 35, the business management, business administration class, and you add your goods and services.
Happy with that?
Yeah, and continue. So that it's just basically that will be published, I think, and the IPO will publish it in the relevant journals, etc., and online to let other people view of whether I've already got this, I don't want this to be applied. So there's a room for people to object if they think it's going to infringe on what they already have. Do not need a description. No. So there we go. Do we want to add a disclaimer? Nope. No again. Nope.
So I think we're looking at a standard
mark, yeah.
Standard trademark.
And you can read these things through, as I say, and you can decide for yourselves, but as I say, standard is the easiest one. And then, as I say, this is the option we have. You got your fees from that point of view of you can pay that £175 for the standard, and then you'll just get a yes or no decision, or the right start, and that's probably the one we'd recommend, where someone will look at it. You only pay £100 and decide whether you want to continue with your application. But if you don't, and as I say, Neil's betting we're going to get rejected again, I'll go the other way just for sake of argument, put £1 on it, and that's the way that you get a decision. So you only have wasted, potentially not wasted, but as in you only spent £100. Invested if it's going to get. So we're going to do that way. Do just a review of our application. Then you just tick all these boxes.
Okay.
Yep, all good. There you go. Application is submitted. I say we should get a decision. We'll see how long it takes, and we'll let you know how long it's taken from that point of view. We'll see who wins the pound bet.
Yeah.
Neil's on the no. I'm going to go with the. I think it's a no, but I'm going to go in the yes just for the sake of the bet. So that's our application. Wasn't that difficult? It's pretty straightforward to follow. As I say, we've not used a lawyer in that instance, but we've done that deliberately to show you what's involved in the process or whatever. As I say, if you want us to see if we can get a lawyer who will look over and almost mark our homework, in hindsight, to see the comparison of doing it ourselves versus a lawyer, just type lawyer in the comments, and we'll be able to get someone along to review our application to see what they'd have thought about it and advised us from that perspective, to let you see the difference between the two options of doing it yourself or getting legal advice, and what cost that advice would be from that perspective. In the meantime, I hope that's been helpful in terms of practically demonstrating what's involved in applying for a trademark. If you want to know more about IP more generally, or the other steps that you need to be taking when you set up in business, just tap one of those boxes on the screen, and we'll see you over there shortly.